Welcome to the Tuesday Review. I'm Nathan. As always, joined by Callum. What's something that's made you happy recently, Callum? Or putting him on the spot here.
Yeah, Persona 4 Golden, I guess. The Wires made me happy.
I'll take that. Also joined by Alan. How you going, Alan? What's made you happy?
I'm doing alright. What's made me happy lately is Ghost Cat Anzu, which I think we'll be talking about in today's show.
Yeah, it's just a little bonus one for our lovely listeners. James isn't here for this episode because he has seen nothing of what we're talking about.
He's here in spirit.
Yes.
Harassing us from the background.
Yeah, that's it.
Going, it stinks, it stinks.
Alright, so it's just a little easy breezy one. Well, we thought we had some time to kill and we'd do something a little bit productive. So I guess we'll start with you boys. You went to the Backlot Cinemas and had a special screening of Ghost Cat Anzu. Now, when is this movie meant to come out?
Oh, let's have a look.
It's not for a while, is it? But it's an anime film, correct?
Yes.
Correct. Let me just get the information up. Sorry.
So it was released in Japan in July this year, but also I don't think it got a wider release just yet.
Yep. So Ghost Cat Anzu is coming out on the 5th of December, and it's directed by Yoko Kuno and Nobuhiro Yamashita.
Okay, very good. Now, what is it? Is it like more modern 3D kind of CGI anime, or is it closer to like a Studio Ghibli kind of aesthetic?
We'll get into it. But first I'll just give the background of the film so listeners can have some context when we talk about it. Karin?
Yeah, Karen.
11 years old, finds herself abandoned by her father in a small Japanese town where her grandfather, a monk, resides. Her grandfather asks Anzu, his jovial and helpful, although rather capricious ghost cat, to look after her. As their spirited personalities collide, sparks fly, yet perhaps only in the beginning. Which is a awkward description of the film, but, it'll do as the official description.
Yeah, so we will be careful not to go into spoilers because,
Correct.
The movie that has been released, we're going to talk about later, has just come out, and Ghost Cat Anzu hasn't come out yet at all, so...
Yeah, so the animation is... It's like two contrasting animation styles. So you have the traditional anime backdrops, which are gorgeous.
Like the kind of painted aesthetic.
Yeah, but they're also like, we'll call it, if you watch an average anime, which I used to watch a decent amount of these days, I'm a little lacking, but, I'd like to get back into it. Depending on, obviously, budget and everything else, a lot of times your backgrounds are pretty... They're nice, but they're pretty... These were, like, beautiful every single time.
Yeah.
Like, every single detail was there in these backgrounds.
Yeah, they were closer to a Ghibli-style background.
Yeah, obviously, because things didn't move, you could... And it was still backgrounds, you could do that. But even then, sometimes due to, again, constraints of cost and production and everything else... You can't do that in regular animes. They took the effort in and were like, no, we're making this gorgeous, and they did.
And then the other art style is, I guess you would call it the primary art of the film, which is like the characters and items on screen to be interacted with. It was more of a mixture between anime and a Western Cartoon Network style. There are a couple of characters who didn't look anime to me. They just looked like a Cartoon Network style thing. But that also tracks for the audience being on the younger side for this because it's a family film. But the anime characters, like the ones that were more anime looking, they looked fine. Like it's, once you, like I didn't particularly like the character design when the film started, but then once you were into it, you kind of forget about it. It's fine because it works together well enough.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it because at the start it felt a little jarring, but as the film kind of continued on, it kind of just melded together. It wasn't like, oh man, I'm being thrown out like, Arjun is that Netflix anime that you'd kind of forget about it for a second and then it'd be like, hey, look at it, it's disgusting, and it hurts you and you're like, why you do this to me, Whereas with this one, it was with Anzu, it was a lot better. That like you kind of did feel that at the start, you're like, hey, these characters do kind of come off the background quite a bit, but then as the film progressed, everyone kind of like melted back into it, and it wasn't like a noticeable thing that you were like, oh, they're doing that. No, it was like...
I think it's like, one of the things is like some characters have like the traditional anime eyes, others don't. And it's like a mixture of different anime styles in the one film. So it can kind of feel contradictory in its design. But like I said, once you're watching the film and once you're in the movie, it works well enough that you kind of forget about it
And I think anime. I have strong opinions on anime and animation in particular. It's not a popular opinion. It's a widely held opinion, but it's not popular because like this is the way the industry's going, with kind of like cheaper methods of production. Not everything is hand drawn. Not everything is Studio Ghibli. Even Studio Ghibli released one that was CGI, and they copped a bit of flack for it because it's. I'm not gonna say it's lazy because CGI artists work very hard, but it's not why people are drawn to anime. They're drawn to the anime for the classic hand-drawn aesthetic and kind of that kind of... When you just turn it into a CGI cartoon, then it loses some of its visual appeal to me.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's interesting to see that they maybe made a compromise and they kind of met in the middle and they balanced those kinds of aspects of modern anime in this movie.
Because like the best way I can describe it to me is I was watching it and I'm like, there's a lot of Cartoon Network DNA in this in terms of some of the character designs later on, which I'm not going to talk about too much because I don't want to spoil anything. But there's some like yokai creatures, more on the demon side of things, because there are themes of the underworld and such.
Well, yokais are demons and spirits.
Yeah, but I mean like more in the traditional devil sense. They seem to me to be very Cartoon Network-ish, as opposed to like more of an anime creature. And there's a couple of young boys who kind of look like very much out of like a 90s Cartoon Network show. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
But again, it's not like it starts off.
I was gonna say, you just Ed and Eddie vibes.
Yes, correct. yeah, correct. But once you're in the film, that kind of you don't worry about it as much because you're invested in the story and the characters. Which is the main thing I want to talk about is that on this show before we've talked a lot about family movies, how they don't really do them anymore. Like kids movies today are very much just kids films. Not for not made like in the olden days where there'd be something for everybody. They'd be a little darker, what have you.
Yeah.
This definitely has an edge on it.
Yeah, back in the 80s and 90s, the whole family movie, it had to appeal to everyone, right? Because they wanted the whole family to come and not just drop the kids. See, what people don't remember is back in the day, it would be they give the kids $10 and go to the movies, right? And like the parental responsibility was a lot less than it is maybe today, where people take their kids to see movies squarely aimed at kids. Back in the day, it's family movie. It's like, no, if you want the whole family to come, you have to appeal to the parents as well.
Yeah, you got to throw a couple of jokes in there.
You got to throw something in there to keep them happy. Otherwise, they're just not going to come. They're just going to abandon their kids at the shopping centre.
Yeah, and
classic 80s.
And Anzu has this in spades. Not only is this actual story quite dark for a children's movie, it's also continuously funny. Consistently funny, I should say, through the whole film. With Anzu being... I think I speak for myself and Alan when I say that the audience surrogate. Yeah. So the premise of the film, to simplify it in a more clear way, because the description's kind of awkward, is this young girl is sent to live with her grandfather as her father tries to make right on some debts, and she's left in the care of an immortal ghost cat. And a ghost cat is a cat who starts off as a regular kitten. But then as they age, they don't die. They just stay around the same kind of age, which is his age is 37. But he talks like a person. He walks like a person.
And at this point, I think in their own description, he's 6 foot tall. He walks on his hind legs. He drives a moped. He's not your average cat, He's not Rosie at home.
He's also the voice actor. Oh, he's so great. Let me see if I can find it. But what I like about him is he's not rude because it's a children's film, but he's just he just doesn't really care. So it's like he speeds on the highway. He gets into trouble. There's public urination in the film.
Yes, there is.
You know what I mean?
But he's a cat, man. They didn't have a litter box in the gutter.
But see, he's held to people standards, even though he's a cat. Yeah. There's like gambling in the film when he gets bored, and I'm like, it's just kind of funny to see this cat.
Sounds like a cat we'd enjoy to hang around with.
Yeah, exactly.
100%. But that's the audience. That's the older audience getting something out of it because it's you watch him and you laugh because how ridiculous it is and the things you notice. And like situations like me and Alan laughed at. There's a scene where it cuts away to Anzu gambling on pachinko machines. Me and Alan were the only ones who laughed. I don't know. No one else thought it was funny, I guess. But
I guess maybe they don't have as much context on what the pachinko machine was because at the same time, if you play the pokies, you should probably figure out a pachinko machine. It's a little different, but the premise in the end is for you to lose your money. So I guess maybe we've got more humor around gambling than others.
But like, you know, so there's these little nuggets of jokes, particularly focused around Anzu that are hilarious.
Yeah.
And unfortunately we did not get to see the subbed version, which we were, you know, ideally get to see the subtitled version with the Japanese dub. Due to circumstances out of anyone's control, we had to watch the English dub. But the Japanese voice actor for Anzu is Mirai Moriyama.
Can you find the English voice actor by any chance, their name? Because I'd like to give them a shout out. I'm
attempting.
After having a watch of the film, I decided to try and find anything I could about the, I guess, Japanese original audio version. And during my search, I guess I've watched a trailer which was in Japanese. And this is what I said to Callum, I said, I was happy with the dub, or the English dub, I should say.
Yeah.
But I would have liked to have seen the film in the original audio and with subtitles.
Yeah.
Just because I'm not trying to be purist here, but a lot of times that's your base experience. But when you know, I guess, that the dub's good, then continuing to watch the dub, I've got no issue with.
Did you want to know who the English voice actor was?
Yes.
It was Jason Simon.
Jason Simon. Shout out to Jason Simon because he did
He carries this film.
Because again, I listened to the actual Japanese audio. I prefer the English audio for Anzu.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's a big call for Alan, who takes his anime quite seriously when it comes to sub versus dub.
I think the English voice for Anzu was, I think, relay to me the kind of the message a bit better versus listening to the bits of Anzu in the Japanese dub. But the other characters, the little girl, Corin, and everyone else, having listened to them, I think I would have preferred them in the Japanese audio.
Well, what's so good about Jason's delivery is that he's just deadpan. And so Anzu only has one facial expression. So it's like no matter what's happening, he has the same facial expression, and it'll just cut to his facial expression. And it's that great thing where it's so versatile. So like whether it's funny or not will depend on the scene, the scene previous or after.
Yeah.
And like he just delivers it so well. He's just like, you know, this 37-year-old cat who doesn't really want to be there, has to look after this kid. He's just trying to get by.
As are we all.
Anyway, the story seems to drag a little bit. It's kind of a heavy-going film for kids, so it's going to be interesting to see how well it's received. But ultimately, I think it was really good. Me and Alan both really enjoyed it. I don't want to go too much into it because of spoilers.
Yeah.
I'd say that's fair.
Yeah.
Definitely worth a watch when it's out in a broader release.
Yeah.
Thank you to Kismet for, organising a media viewing and allowing us in, because we do appreciate that. And like I said, if you see it in English, if you see it in Japanese, I think you're going to have a good time.
It's a good film, legitimately a good movie. So
yeah, I had the somewhat
displeasure
to go and see Wicked.
We should have Christian here.
Part one.
We should have had Christian here, silent producer Christian. He could have defended his position.
Yeah.
So he was quite upset, or initially, annoyed at one point that no one went to see the Mean Girls musical at like the movie version with him at Hoyt's or the local cinema.
So just so I can get a little more context on this. Now, Mean Girls, they imply that that film with Lindsay Lohan, Mean Girls?
Yes.
They made a musical version of this.
They made a musical version, and then they adapted the musical to a movie.
So they adapted a movie into a musical?
Come full circle, yes.
Okay.
So it's a movie to musical back to a movie that includes the musical numbers that were adapted from the film originally, right? So it's a weird circle.
Okay.
And he wanted to go, and of course, we're just like, no, Christian, sorry, we're not interested.
Yeah.
And then he made me feel really bad about it, because I didn't go with him. So I'm like, all right, I'll go with you to see Wicked. Part one.
Look, nobody forces him to walk this path.
No, it's a path he most often walks alone. But I felt bad for not going for Mean Girls. And so he wanted me to come see Wicked, and I said, yeah, all right, I'll give you one. And then we arranged to go see it last night, and it's probably just as bad as you think it's going to be. It's a movie where they've written it specifically for a target audience in mind.
Yeah.
I will say, like, I wasn't, like, I'm not like a Wizard of Oz person. I never really have been. The original's pretty good, like the classic, but that was Technicolor.
Yeah,
that was a Technicolor Marvel. So.
Yeah.
My main interest with the original Wizard of Oz was one, like you said, it was a Technicolor Marvel. Also, people like suffered horrifically for that film.
Well, the snow was asbestos.
Yeah.
The Tin Man got poisoned, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. 3 or 4 of them died. From
Dorothy
asbestos poisoning,
burnt and stuff from the lights. Or
anyway, so this is the sassification of the Wizard of Oz, right?
Yeah.
Oh, the yassification, I should say, 'cause Slay Queen. To use parlance of the demographics, and so the issues with this movie begin where they seem to have written a whole movie. It's based on the hit stage play, which is based on a book. Now, the problem begins where they seem to have written the entire script around Ariana Grande's character. I don't know how true it is to the musical or the book. Christian assured me that it's very faithful to the book and the musical.
Christian's read the book?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I have my doubts, but I'm sure
Christian reading a book. I'm like, damn.
I'm sure it's faithful to the musical.
Yeah. Has he seen the musical?
No, we're not hating on Christian. By the way,
he's making some bold claims there.
I'm sure he's done his research.
I'm sure he's done his good.
He's done his confidently wrong research.
Yes. Anyway, moving on. Right, so. I don't know how close it is, but it's 2 hours and 45 minutes of Ariana Grande's character just being mean to people.
Sorry.
And that's where you get the kind of the savagery element for the... Why? Well, because the whole thing is an inversion, right? It's meant to be like the good witch and the bad witch. And the good witch is secretly, she's bad on the inside, and the bad witch is good on the inside, but evil is forced upon the bad witch, right? So... It's like the Wicked Witch of the West was actually good inside all along, and people ostracized her because she had green skin. Whereas really, the nice witch, or the Witch of the East, or whatever she's called, was really the bad one all along because she kind of, I guess, was outwardly good but inwardly bad.
So basically,
it's the substance for a certain demographic.
Is it retconning the film then in a way?
It's not retconning the film, but
does she ever change her heart? I guess that's
no. So Wicked's a prequel, right?
Yes,
it's a prequel and a sequel.
Oh, my bad, because I thought it was just
the movie starts after The Wizard of Oz, and then I'm sure it continues. I get the feeling it'll continue in the second part a bit after as well. But
so they're trying to Better Call Saul this, but doing a terrible job of it.
Kind of, yeah. It's kind of just like it's after the events of The Wizard of Oz, and then they're like, "Yay, the Wicked Witch is dead. Did you know her?" And then Glenda is like, "Yeah, I did. Were you friends?" "Yeah, we were." And then, "How do you know her?" I'm like, "Oh, I better tell the story then," kind of thing. So it's a prequel and somewhat of a sequel. Anyway, back to my point. So it tries to invert these kinds of characters, and no one comes out likable. And it's just, it felt like 2 hours and 45 minutes of people just being mean to each other for no reason. Just because it's like a magical university or whatever. It's like they call it Shiz, and it's the Wizard of Oz University, right? And everyone's just horrible.
There's this thing, we actually talked about this on the Lord of the Rings review, about how people, like young audiences, and this is our generation and younger, they seem to really have something against friendships and emotion, because it's kind of like, cage yourself off from everyone.
Yeah.
Like, Lord of the Rings, for example, friendship's famously gay. People look at...
No.
Nothing's gay about kissing the homies goodnight.
I read that. I listened to the audiobooks, and you cannot deny it. There was some gayness there.
No, but see, that's the thing. That's what I'm talking about, is people look at these things through a certain lens, and they assume modern friendship. And I think that's why, my opinion is that's why the characters come off as so unlikable and wicked, is because the Gen Zs or whatever writing this screenplay were like, oh no, we're mean to each other. That's how we get along. So let's snipe at each other the whole time.
There's no kind of, everyone is just
mean. Yeah,
everyone's just mean, and it's only just shy of being outwardly hostile to everyone else. Like everyone's attacking each other all the time. You know what I mean? The best character in the movie is Peter Dinklage, and he plays a talking goat.
Fair.
Yeah, but sorry, go on.
No, I was going to talk about the look of the film, but
no, we can do that. So, for a movie that should be really colourful and take inspiration from, as Callum said, the Technicolor masterpiece that was the original, it has a lot of colour in it, but the way it's color graded is that it's quite flat. So you know that obviously you can see the different colors, but there's not a lot of contrast. So it's all quite dim.
Yeah,
and we watched it in extreme screen, which should supposedly have a better picture quality.
Yeah,
right?
like you watched it, 1 at cinema, 2 at the extreme screen cinema. So like you've probably got the best chance of having the ideal experience
without going to like an IMAX or something.
There's actually a quote from John Cho who was asked about it in an interview with the Globe and Mail, I believe. And he says there's color all over it. I think what we wanted to do was immerse people into Oz to make it a real place, because it's a fake place. If it's a place a dream in someone's mind, the real relationships wouldn't feel real or whatever.
I understand.
That sounds like a Donald Trump quote.
I understand.
No, but but what I'm saying is, it's like, why does it have to look real?
I understand where he was coming from, right? Because he wants it to, I guess, the Marvelification of it all, right? Let's kind of tone it down a little bit, make it more real, invest people into it. But But
wasn't the whole premise of that world, it was so fantabulous that it can't be real?
Yeah. So if I was in that position and I'm making a movie based in the Wizard of Oz universe, I would lean into that history and I would make it feel like a Technicolor movie, and I would make sure the colors were exaggeratedly contrasted, right? Because you want to bring people into that. You want to bring them back to that Wizard of Oz.
Also,
that would be, you want to get some of the cast members secondary burns. You want to get somebody lead poisoning.
But
have asbestos falling as snow.
Just in terms of lighting and color grading, everyone's movies are looking dark and drab.
Yeah,
if you want to stand out, make them pop.
Yeah, and also this would be a film that it makes a lot of sense to pop.
Yeah, exactly. Like you got the yellow brick road, but instead it kind of looks like a mustard brick road. Yeah. Like it hasn't got the same sheen.
Oh, we're using the whole grain mustard,
Yeah, that's it.
It's like yeah.
And my other problem with this movie, I'm shitting all over it. Like, I'm sorry, it's just, I didn't enjoy it. And there are good things about it.
I was like, we don't have to.
Christian, if you're listening, Nathan wants a refund for his movie ticket.
We don't have to shit on it.
I'm not, but like, it has a lot of problems for me, and I didn't like any of the. I liked Peter Dinklage's goat, and even there was another character called Bok I thought I would like, right? B-O-C is his name. And I thought I would like him, and then by the end of the movie, I didn't like him. And I'm like, they have all these characters that they want me to sympathize, and then they'll do things or say things, and I'm like, no. Again, maybe I'm not the target demographic.
I think it's because it's written from such a niche perspective of hostility.
Yeah, it feels like a very hostile movie.
You get it. Like you get it in like Zoomer written TV shows where, and I don't know that Zoomer wrote this film. I'm just saying that because it's what I've seen. It's like there's a way of talking to people which is very much like, don't you snap back at me? I'm the boss here.
Yeah,
and it's like that. It's pervasive through like younger written media. It's like sass is like in the DNA of some film and TV. And it's because people don't want to, be vulnerable. That's my opinion at least.
There's a lot of that, and like no characters come across well, as I said.
And they're all jaded because it's like cool to be jaded.
Yeah, and the color, it looks very dim and flat. And again, it should be bright and colorful. The other issues I had with it is it's like 45 minutes too long. It's a musical, that's fine. There's musical numbers, but half of them don't add anything to the plot. And like there's one where they're in a library and they just sing about how learning is dumb and let's go party instead.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Basically, it's just like, who needs books? Let's go party. And I'm just like, is that the kind of message you want to be sending?
Yeah. They're not going to be very good witches, are they?
Because the real OGs know that having fun isn't hard when you've got a library card.
That's it.
Arthur Reed, circa 2000 something maybe, or late 90s.
Yeah, that's it. So it's those kinds of issues, and I'm just like, you could have not included this song, and you could have tightened the movie up a little bit. It would have been a better movie. If the movie was 2 hours instead of 2 hours and 50 minutes, or whatever it is, it could have been a better movie. And I just, and also, this is quite possibly a me issue, but there was they didn't do a lot of studio recorded singing for this movie. In most musicals, they'll do it kind of, behind the scenes, and they'll just mime it as they're choreographing because it's easier that way, right? They can do it all later. But they did a lot of live singing in this movie, which is impressive. The problem is when they hit really high notes, I couldn't hear it just sounds all like, just like a tone. And I couldn't understand all the words they were singing. And they sang quite a lot in these really, really high-pitched, like Ariana Grande hitting the high notes, breaking the glasses and everything else, right? I'm like, I couldn't understand what was going on. So
you'll be in the elevator. You're like, turn it down.
No, not turn it down. Just
turn the pitch down.
Lower the octave a little bit so I can understand the words that she's saying. So I had some of those issues, and it's not for me. But I enjoyed some of it. Jeff Goldblum is good.
Yeah, is he just a regular man in there, or was he?
He's Jeff Goldblum. He's fine. Yeah. He's just playing Jeff Goldblum. But he's the Wizard of Oz.
Oh, yeah.
Spoilers.
No, he's heavily...
I'm only joking, don't worry.
Yeah. I could give you spoilers, mate. No one wants to hear the spoilers.
Well, it's interesting. Someone on...
I guessed it, by the way. We're like halfway through the movie, and I see Jeff Goldblum. He says one line, and I'm like, this Christian. And he's like, you spoiled it for yourself. I'm like, I didn't spoil it.
Well, it's funny,
it's inferred, sir, through dialogue.
Someone said no spoilers to Wicked on Twitter, and someone replied with, the book's 127 years old at this point. And then someone was like, oh yeah, but in this version there's a twist. And I'm like...
Wait, the book Wicked is 127 years old?
The Wizard of Oz. Like, it's based on a book that's 127 years old.
Fair enough.
But yeah, no, it just made me laugh. Like, they're all... Seriously, it's like... They're treating it like Harry Potter or something.
Yeah. Well, there are Harry Potter elements to this. It's at a magical university.
Yeah. At least the people in Hogwarts are mostly nice.
Mostly. Unless you're a Slytherin, which you've
no, they're nice. They're nice.
I'm saying some of these Slytherin people are better than the good characters in Wicked. So.
Which is hilarious. Which is hilarious to think about. Again, like you said, I understand that obviously in the film, I don't know what goes down entirely, but obviously bad things happen to some people. Maybe there's reasons why they might be a little bit mean, but it's, as you said, it's hard to kind of side with or feel joy for a person who's objectively being a bad person.
I couldn't relate to any of the characters. Obviously you relate to the main character, the Abatha or something like that. I'll find her name. It's not Glinda. Glinda's easy to remember. Let's see, Wicked. It's a
I'm not
Elphaba. Elphaba. Okay. Yes, Elphaba is the Wicked Witch of the West, right? And you can relate to her a little bit in her struggles, and then she'll do something with like little remorse, and you're just like, I don't know if I like you anymore again. Like, you're bringing me back to that point where I don't know if there's anything redeemable. And I don't like being 100% just very critical of a movie. Like, it had some good moments. It ended. No, that's mean.
Again, I don't know why I've decided to do this, but I am going to link this to the Breaking Bad / Better Call Saul universe again. And it's going to be the idea that people can do bad things, and yet you still have a good deal of sympathy for them. Now, you've watched... Better Call Saul?
No.
Okay. So in Better Call Saul, there's a character that actually gets mentioned in Breaking Bad. I think
Sopranos would be a better example of this.
Maybe. But I haven't watched all Sopranos yet.
No, but you can agree
you're getting multi-dimensional characters.
Yeah. Like, you see a character who's very clearly doing the wrong things, but also has that inner turmoil. And I think that's very important to make a person... Unless all the people that are watching this are sociopaths or something, I don't know. Christian, just say.
I'm not saying it.
Just say. But unless they are, any person that does anything wrong, on average, will have that inner turmoil. And that, if you can display that on the screen, that still kind of, to me, is like, all right, look, that person did this bad thing, a horrific thing possibly, but I kind of feel for them still. And if you can't relay that in a film, I feel like, maybe the film, that's not the point of the film, and if it isn't, then I'm like, you're just making bad films.
I was going to say, it's just bad writing. There's no, like, you can, unless the emphasis of the film is let's celebrate these mean people on the screen, well then, no, like, legit.
I think there is an element of...
Who's that British talk show host in the US that...
Jimmy Carr?
No, the one that did the Cats.
9 out of 10 Cats do Countdown?
No, I know who you're talking about... I don't like him. What's his name?
He did Carpool Karaoke.
James Corden.
James Corden. I'm like, this is like a film written by James Corden? He's like, yeah, this is how people behave, right? Because he's famously a horrible person in public and like to his own staff.
There have been stories about him.
So like maybe he wrote it.
Like ultimately, like if you're writing a film and you're writing a big blockbuster that's based on a beloved franchise, you should be trying your best to make the characters as likable and multidimensional as possible. And granted, I haven't seen the film, but it sounds like they just flat out failed.
I think no, it's very popular with its target demographics.
Yeah, no. But like, here's the problem though. It's like, I don't like it when we say like, oh well, it's not, it's targeted. We can give it forgiveness because it's targeted.
I'm not forgiving it critically, but it's not a failure.
No, it might be successful. but it's a cultural failure, is what I'm saying, from my opinion. Like, if you're going to write a movie where the characters are so overwhelmingly negative, I was like, okay, well, what are we supposed to take from this? So let's just say you're an impressionable child who's watching Wicked.
Also, it's a very boring movie for kids.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, The Wizard of Oz is famously a children-friendly franchise. So I was like, if you're going to watch Wicked and you have, like, let's say, the impressionable 12-year-olds and they're watching Wicked, it's like they're just going to kind of be a jerk because that's how people should be treating each other, like jerks.
I think...
So that's my point. It's like, yes, it might be popular with its who we're saying its demographic might be. But ultimately, it's like, well, you know, you have to write characters that are able to teach people empathy. Movies are empathy machines. So it's like, what are we teaching people with Wicked if they're going to be mean?
They're just teaching them smart new ways to be mean to each other, I guess.
Yeah, that's my point. It's like, it's a, you know...
At this point, I feel like we've shat on this movie so much.
No, but we're not shitting on it, though.
No, rightfully, possibly so. I need to now watch it when it comes on streaming. You need to watch it when it comes on streaming.
Yeah,
and then we need to get Christian in here.
We'll watch it together.
And berate him about it. Or, like, at least get him to answer for...
At least if we watch it together on stream, we can fast forward through some of the songs a little bit.
Yeah. Because it's also 2 hours and 50 minutes, don't you? Yeah. Like, it feels rough, like, dedicating that kind of time to a film. That's
like, people brought their kids to the session we went to, and the kids were thoroughly bored. Yeah. Like, running up and down.
The kid pulled out an iPad and put the, you know...
I mean, I wouldn't have cared.
Yeah.
But,
Christian would have been like, shh, you know,
he was getting upset.
Doing the head turn.
Yeah. So, look, it wasn't for me. I think it has some writing issues. Again, it could be an adaptation issue. Like, there's A, too many cooks in the kitchen. B, it's being adapted from a book, from a stage play to a movie. And I'm like, you know, maybe they got too many writers, and it's like, what messages from the play that's based on the book do we want to carry through to the film, and what story?
It's also possible that the adaptation's really good and the play's just really bad.
also, there's a different feeling watching a play than a movie, right? You're watching people be mean to each other in a play, and there's the banter, and you're like, hey. And like, when you translate that to a movie that you're meant to have a more focused narrative, it's kind of just like, well, now it's just kind of...
Now it's just bullying.
Yeah, because I suppose that there's more of a back and forth with the audience and the theatre performers.
Yeah, theatre's very different, right? Yeah. You have that banter in the theatre, and it's like, they're joking around, it's funny.
Yeah, like you're in on it.
Exactly.
You're not in on it when you're watching a film.
Yeah, the audience is in on it when it's the theatre. There's more participation, at least from a vibe level, right, with the actors. With a movie, you're just watching these things happen, and
there's less agency involved.
There's less agency, so I'm not too sure. Obviously, people like it very much, but it wasn't for me, and I thought it was overly just a bit mean.
Maybe part 2 will turn it all around.
Yeah, I doubt it, but they're interesting. If you go on Twitter and some of the socials, you can see people like boosting the contrast, and it looks amazing when they put the colors up.
No, it's interesting to say that there's actually behind the scenes photos of the sets. The sets look incredible.
Oh, it's an expensive movie. You can tell they put a lot of money into it.
Like, I saw some of the sets, and they were jaw-droppingly gorgeous. Yeah. And then someone put a picture of what it looks like in the film. Yeah. Awful.
The Emerald City, there's a good train. Like, there's a lot of good sets and a lot of good actual building.
I think I saw a picture of the train, and then the picture I saw from the film, it looked awful. Yeah. This is one of those things that was like, who told... I don't know if it was John Chu's decision to calibrate it that way. It was like, was there no note from any exec was like, make it look nice, please?
Yeah, I don't know. So again, you know what? We're not going to hang it all on him. This is probably also, it's a major studio picture, so it's kind of like, it's probably too many cooks in the kitchen. You know, they want it to be a big franchise.
Maybe whoever controls the estate had some say in it as well.
Yeah.
Whoever has the rights to that property.
Yeah, so I guess we'll see. Just a shame. How it goes. It is a shame. I do like, however, was it Universal that did it? Who was it? But the opening, where are we? Universal Pictures, yeah. The opening title, like with the studio logos, it was an old school one.
Nice.
And it had a Universal picture.
I like that. Yeah.
So we go, it's a picture.
That's awesome.
Yes. So that was cool. And the Wicked logo was the Wizard of Oz typeface too, which was neat.
Nice.
Yeah, look, it was made well, and they took a lot of risks with doing the live singing to sum everything up, which didn't always work for me. When they hit the higher notes, I couldn't understand all the singing and the words.
Because it wasn't mastered the same as a studio.
Yeah, because it was all live singing. They had less, I guess. You couldn't go back and fix it, right? Because it was all recorded. it was like one take or you have to go again. So it's like there was less, I guess, post work they did with it because they wanted to do as much of it live as they could, which again is admirable.
Yeah,
and it worked.
Yeah.
For most of the time, it sounded good, but it was too long and people are too mean.
But, yeah, fair.
That'll be your Letterboxd review. Too long and people were too mean.
That's pretty much what I said in my Letterboxd review. I said it's 45 minutes too long. I didn't like any of the characters. They're all mean.
It is what it is.
It is what it, and I couldn't hear all the dialogue singing because when they hit that certain pitch and you can't differentiate between the words, and it becomes just like just one tone. Issue. I guess.
Just like that, yeah.
Yeah. That's all I've got. Anyone else got anything they want to discuss before we wrap up?
No,
I'm all good.
You can look forward to the Tuesday standard episode next.
Yeah, the next episode, everything going well ahead. We have an interview with Kevin Zhu, I believe, from Hello Games. We'll be back next week, or in less than a week. I'll try and get this up tonight, or tomorrow, or Tuesday, whenever I can be bothered. But it'll definitely be before our normal release. So Ghost Cat Anzu hasn't come out yet, and Wicked is in cinemas now. Go see one of them.
Yes. So save your money from Wicked. Go see Ghost Cat Anzu
on December the 5th.
Yeah, and your children will actually have a good time with this one. I reckon.
Yeah, your children won't have a good time with Wicked.
Look, there's no singing, but the characters are likable.
Yeah.
You can catch Tuesday Review on all social media platforms at Tuesday Review AU. That's Facebook, Twitter, Threads, Newsmast, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Twitter, and YouTube at Tuesday Review AU. We have new Blue Sky accounts as well for the boys.
Yes, and I think our Blue Sky account will change to just at TuesdayReview.com.
Nice.
In the future.
Yep.
We're on Letterboxd as well. I'm Nathan_B_90.
I'm Callum Tuesday.
I'm Alan20, and James is channeldrifter.
That's it. We'll be back next week, or in less than a week, and with more content. Thanks for listening, everyone. Adios, cousins.